Hello from nowhere, where we're high atop the Mystic Mountain, the one and only. So, guys, the world is changing. I do not know all the reasons that a world can change, die, be lived again, be recreated, reformed, manifested, ended. I have no clue how many ways there is. But I do know this one is changing, if not dying. What is a world exactly? Well, we have to understand something very, very important. All right? The authors of a lot of spiritual texts gave people a little bit more credit to read between the lines or see truths that are hidden in front of them. They gave them a little bit more credit than than they deserved for that, because most people can't do that. We have to understand that the words and what they are, the earth and world are not synonyms in these contexts. I want you to understand that right now. When it's talked about the world will fall away, a new world will be born, a new world will be made, you need to understand something very important. I'm going to be moving around a lot, by the way. Mosquitoes are wild in these woods. That's part of it. They're not synonyms. Those words do not mean the same thing in these contexts. All right? The world will end and a new world will be created does not mean the planet Earth will explode, vaporize, vanish, and be remade. Although I don't see any reason that it can't be, what you have to understand is that while the objective is to do away with conceptual thinking or chains that are made of concepts, at the same time, these types of ideas like worlds, they are concepts at the end of the day, and concepts are not what something is. It's really kind of like describing something, all right? But people cling on to it like that's what something is. It's like if I tell you what these leaves are, right? I can say that's a green leaf. I can say that's a pretty leaf. I might even tell you what kind of tree or plant that leaf comes off of, even though that would be the same thing. But unless you saw this, unless you touched it, unless you experienced it, it's not real. The concept you would have is not real. All right, all you'd know this by is a concept. You have to seeing is believing, so to speak, right? Experiencing is experiencing. Wow, look at that mushroom. So what I need you to understand is that everything in your life that you get worked up about and you get excited about and that you're attached to, and forgive me if my words are twisted and twangled and jumbled up. I'm recovering from a really bad migraine. Whenever I get those, I go blind and half my body goes basically crippled and I have to recover. I believe they call those aura migraines. A lot of electricity in the brain basically fries some circuits, from my understanding, and they have to heal. So what I need you to understand is that the things that you hold so valuable to you, that you get worked up about, that you put all the attention and energy of your life into, they don't matter. They belong to a world, and the world will fall away. I need you to stop doing that. In fact, not me. You should need you to stop doing that. You'll find something that means something, all right? You have a spirit. You need to step out of the flesh and its demands and desires and step into the spirit, because the spirit can't be hijacked. It can be subdued and wrestled with, but it cannot be it cannot be held hostage. A body can. The body has needs. It has demands, it has urges, compulsions. It needs food. It needs water. That's really all a body needs. And the rest is like maintenance. We're walking into some hardcore economic times. I think it's a joke, because these things are human beings built ships to go to the space. Human beings built ships that crossed raging oceans. Human beings built weapons that can wipe out entire continents in a blink of an eye. Yet for some reason we can't figure out money. We can't figure out how to stop inflation. Of course we can, and the answer's been there the whole time, but the people who run the damn thing, I don't know what their problem is. They probably enjoy it. Those people have something wrong spiritually and physically within them, and they're confused too. They're walking around making the world hard for everybody through price tags. This is the reality. Unless you have the option to take your chances by walking into the woods and trying to survive your entire life, you don't really have a choice if you're born into a thing called a society, unless that society permits such a thing. All right, you had America at one point when it was first started, and I'm going to put this very simply, so forgive me if I don't give you a 1,000-word essay or a 10 million page book about every facet of America. We're talking about the idea, the overdraft. America was created, and people basically really could go out there and settle land. They didn't have to buy it for 30 years of their damn life and reverse mortgage it to survive for the rest of their life. Their body knows it should be dead, but it keeps getting drugged through because people are afraid to go on to the next part of the journey. And you should never be afraid. Think this is the only body you ever inhabited. You're wrong. You should never be afraid of something just because you can't remember it. While you're running around, you're no longer just trying to survive. Now you've probably got debts. Now you probably got tremendous debts. Probably got cars that you shouldn't have bought. You probably got this and that and this that puts you into a lot of debt. You're no longer trying to survive. That's the price of you, because you're not free until you pay that debt back, and you can be left alone. You're not free. You put your soul in bondage, and you put yourself in bondage because the body had a compulsion or an urge, and you got you getting drugged with it, and sometimes the mind gets together with the body and it convinces you, and you think it's your idea. So what could you need? Don't you know that you're infinite? Don't you know you have everything required? The problem is very simple. We all are being bombarded with stimulus in some form to the point that those parts get burned out. We don't even know they're burned out. We're just walking through life trying to excite ourselves because we build that into a habit, and in turn that becomes our way of life. And I'll be honest, if there was a way that I could buy a device with just what I need on it, obviously like the gig apps, I have to go make a little bit of money. Those are the rules of this society. However, that's not a permanent thing. I have plans to break free from that. We all should be making plans to get off of it. Or I'm not, you have to go out there and you have to feed the body. The body does have requirements to stay alive, but the problem is when the body and the mind get out of your control, and then they're telling you what they want, not what they need. It's not you in control then. The body and the mind don't exist without you, and therefore you're the boss. And that you can think of that metaphorically in terms of the plight of the modern day worker. Modern day workers here are afraid to say no. They're afraid to stand up for themselves. And not to mention, not very many of them actually want to go figure out how to run for office and say, well, I'm tired of taking it. I want to make some changes. What am I supposed to make of that other than what I can observe? What do I observe about that? I observe it's pathetic. Life ain't all about saying nice things. When I see these news articles, when I've watched the videos, the whole world is a crybaby. The whole world is whining about each other. I hate to tell you this, but y'all are everybody. I say y'all, but me too. So forgive the way I'm talking. Like I said, migraine, brain, every which way. Everybody is the same on this planet. In a very generalistic way. We are all going to do things that upset each other. We all going to do some bad things. We all going to do some good things. Now, I was watching videos like the little short videos earlier, and I saw some kind of biblical based content, right? And when I was watching it, I went to the comments. The comments are like the alleyways in really bad neighborhoods. You get robbed there, you get mistreated there, you get abused there. You should stay out of them if you're going to be there. And about 90% of Facebook is commenting back and forth at each other. And somebody brought up the fact about churches and how look, churches, another way to look at them, if you're going to look at them, is kind of like a hospital. And what I mean by that is that they're full of people with a problem. And they're trying to fix the problem. I go drive through the town of Gadsden over here. I like to poke fun at Gadsden, Alabama. I always tell my wife when we're driving through there and we have a bad time, because we have a bad time there quite frequently. I don't know why we keep going, except it's convenient. But I always go, well, what do you expect from Grand Theft Gadsden? Because the place is really a lot like Grand Theft Auto. I mean, the people are acting like, I'm sure not all of them. I know someone's going to hear that. Look, if it don't apply, let it fly. But if it applies, let it hit you straight between the eyes. So you got Grand Theft Gadsden over there. And in Grand Theft Gadsden, they're having an economic issue. All right, I mean, they're not replacing that. Goodyear used to be over there. And Goodyear gave most people their jobs that they'd have their entire lives, and they could support the family, and they could do the things with them. Goodyear gone. And don't act like the folks of good old Gadsden was innocent in that, because if you got on Facebook before Goodyear left back in 2010, whenever it was, but they didn't leave, and I don't know when they left, but before they left, I know the year was like probably 2010. And you got on there, and you read what people were saying. Nobody liked Goodyear. Goodyear apparently controlled the city council, according to some folks. And because Goodyear did that, they couldn't have other businesses come in and offer other kind of jobs. Well, Goodyear is gone now. And a lot of these people, they had to drive a lot longer away to get real jobs. They probably make less money. I don't know all the situations, man. But I know it's probably worse off since Goodyear left. And you know. Price of you is very simple. It's whatever subjugates you, and you and you go along with it. And we're all going to find ourselves in chains and shackles from time to time. But you got to get good at getting out of them, or you ain't never going to be free. You're just going to keep stumbling through life, putting on one pair of chains after another. You know? And, now I seen, you know, and anyways, back to what I was saying just a second ago about what I seen in the comments. I got carried away there, sorry. But the comments that I was reading, it's got to be the age-old complaint about organized religion. They said everyone in the church is this way and that way. Everybody that goes to church, they're hypocrites. They're this and that. I'm glad, you know. Well, I mean, Jesus did say people were pretty damn bad. So what were you expecting to find in there? I mean, you know, if you want my honest opinion about the problem, the nature of the problem and how to fix it is very simple. The preacher and all his associates, or her associate, whatever the hell people do in modern church, y'all gonna have to quit lying to folks about things you don't even understand. All right? Y'all just making stuff up, or somebody else told you what to say, and you say it, and some of you do it with such conviction that if you didn't know any better, or actually understand what you were trying to talk about, people would believe you blindly. Blind guide leading the blind. And you know, the thing one of the things I take issue with here, because I'm just like you, I take issues with things at the church, and one thing I take issue with it is, when I say the church, you have to understand, I'm talking about what I've experienced in the form of churches. It's not one church I'm talking about. It's not one area I'm talking about, but where I've been and what I've seen and what I'm seeing and what I'm observing about it is this. So don't think, well, which church was that? That's not what it means. I just told you what it means. All right? And you know, people get wounded, they don't get wise for some reason. And people like me, we get both. Some people are very fortunate, and I don't know how they do it. I've tried to spend a lot of time. They don't become wounded at all. They just become wise. And you know, the thing I don't like is how church tries to turn God into a magic act or a puppet show or any of those or anything of that nature. I don't like that. All right, because it's not correct. It's not right. The answer's right there in front of you if you would just understand it. So I'm going to give you an example here. When people are up there and they don't understand where heaven is because they don't know how to get into it, right? So what are they doing? They going, it's when you die. It's got to be when you die. And hell is there too. That's what them ideas meant. That's not what they meant. And then they tell kids that, I don't know, anybody who grew up in Alabama, at least in my area, you know what you were told by adults before, you know, adults became the, whatever the hell passes is one now. Grown folks would tell you, I may have to get off the phone. I think someone's here. That might be a train. Anyways, I'm going to try to wind this up. Grown folks would tell you if you good, if you bad, you go up or you go down. And they, of course, you know, heaven or hell, right? But when you die, you're gonna store up all this badness, and you're gonna get it when you die. And that's how they keep a lot of the peace. Is they people walking around, even when they walk around going, one day that guy that did me wrong, he gonna get it when he dies. And it just like, it doesn't make sense that way. All the pain receptors are bodily. They are in the body. Well, you're the spiritual part. You leaving the body, so even if the body got thrown in hell, well, it's lifeless. It was basically earth. It doesn't affect you at that point. So that doesn't make sense. So this is the thing. It's not that it doesn't exist. It's that it's misunderstood. And a misunderstanding, when it's shouted by millions of people, is a problem. Because then people don't know. And that's one thing I have, is when they're telling people about heaven and how great it's going to be and this and that. I'm like, it's great now. You'd know that if you knew how to get into it. And I was driving through Grand Theft Gadsden. And there's something I wish, I pray every day for, I beg for, and I'm going to keep doing it. That's not what it said. If you don't get what you want, keep banging on the door until he does it. I wish that I had a way to teach people how to unlock that door to heaven, because they already have the key. I just wish I had a way to do it, and they did it, and it worked. That's what I pray for. But I'll go through the streets, Grand Theft Gadsden, and one day I'm gonna know how to do it. Don't worry, because I know what this is. When I don't know how to do something, I just have to learn a little bit more, and I just have to try a little harder, and I'll get it. So that's not. So the point is, when I drive through Grand Theft Gadsden for the third time, I think on the weekends mainly, there'd be people standing right outside the furniture store, and they'd be trying to scare the piss out of people. Despite the fact that the scripture says a lot, be not afraid, do not be afraid, but you got people out here trying to terrify people into submission. And they try to make promises of things. They basically, well, if you come this way, if you do this, trying to terrify people. Said you go into head doing the whole fire and brimstone bit, the whole shtick that doesn't work anymore, because the church has not realized that if people can't see it, they won't believe you, and they'll think you're a liar, or worse, they'll think you're a nutcase. So you got to go find out where these places are and how to actually get to them and bring them to people if you're going to do that. And you should, and once you understand what hell is and heaven is, you shouldn't bring hell to people, because that's awful. That's really, really detestable to want to bring it there just so you can satisfy your ego and its urges to be right. You know. So people like that hold signs up, and they're trying to terrify people about going to hell if they don't do this, if they don't do that. They're going to find themselves in hell one day. People who do that, they are literally Satan. They don't know how to get into heaven, and they'll be damned if anybody else ever gets in there. I'm going to tell you how you ain't going to get into heaven. You ain't going to get into heaven if you're finicky, afraid, full of panic, full of this, full of that. I don't know what all churches in America are, but I know the ones around me, they're not equipped to teach people how to overcome. They don't know how to teach people about what darkness is. If you don't know what darkness is, how can you cast it out? You can't. If you don't know how to get people, if you don't know how to, because this is the thing, the nature of humans is this, judgmental. And we love to pick a side. And not that we have to, because once you realize you're doing that, you can break free from that. You won't have to do it, but it takes a lot of practice. It's called work for a reason. All right, so when you have people saying, I have the answer to all of your spiritual problems, all of the problems that shake the mind, all of the problems that ache the body. I have every answer that you need to what plagues you. And they have no clue the nature of what causes those problems. They're not doctors at all. They may mean well, they may have good intention, but everybody has probably heard this one. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You know? And as much as these people probably enjoy doing that and enjoy this, it's just like when you get out there and you're terrifying people and you're trying to scare them, you wrong. You wrong. Because I already know right then and there, when you have to resort to something that runs in the same vein as intimidation and domination and subjugation, fear, I already know right then and there you ain't got it. You threw your key in the Hudson River. You threw it out there in Lake Logan Martin. You need to go get in there and get it back. Go up here and fix this. There. Let's hope you stand up through the storms, my friend. Oh, I don't think this is going to work. Okay. There we have it. I didn't want to nail that to that living tree or do anything to hurt that living tree. It's the intention at the end of the day. So, it's been a while since I walked on this side of the property. I've been down there at the bottom. We'll walk down there. I'll talk to you a little bit longer. I don't want to discourage people, all right? But you'll be more effective if you can understand the nature of a spiritual illness and a spiritual problem. And they're not to be mistaken for mental illness, because the mind is where mental illnesses dwell, and that's a different matter. Spiritual, it's all connected, but it's, spiritual, let me get back on topic here. Let me get my thoughts back together. I can't apologize enough. It's my fault. I normally write down everything I'm going to say and read it. And not to mention, I like I told you, I had an aura, headache, migraine, whatever. And so, thank God, I think I just about talked about it enough, today anyways. I don't like how people are using intimidation and fear tactics to try and bend people's arms to Jesus. Jesus would never do that. And, of course, I keep saying that. I know better. Christianity isn't about Jesus. It's kind of a trick. Christianity is about a transformative process, or it's supposed to be, that people can become a worthy container for the Holy Spirit, and that God may dwell within that temple that is the container, and that you can form union with God. That is one spiritual practice to become, for the purpose of all spiritual practices, whether you Hinduism, whether just out and just doing all the spiritual stuff that you can consider. That's the real goal of it all, is to form union with God. And when you form union with something, you become it. Now if you can hold your balance within the Spirit, is a different matter. Some people get knocked out, and they get knocked out so many times, like me, you just keep figuring out how to get back there quicker each time. So it's like a switch. You just switch it on and off. And, some of us are kind of insane. So, I was working on this. I broke that mountain free from there for this section. I still have some work to do, but today I really can't pick that chainsaw up today. They're coming to get my tractor in a little bit anyways, from what I understand, and they're going to take it up there to the tractor dealership and put a backhoe on it. So for this week, probably just going to take it easy. I'm going to make a little bit of money. Just rest, because I've been at this for a month now, non-stop. And I know it'll be worth it when I'm done. I know it will. I've been shown something. And once I'm done, I'll talk about it. But right now, it's not to be told and talked about. But look, I don't want to discourage anybody from going out into the world and trying to help people spiritually. I don't want to do that. But if I don't like what I see when people are doing that, because I know better. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. And people have a big complaint that I don't go to church because this and that and this and that and that and this. Well, you're in a room full of spiritually broken people that are there because some component inside of them has pulled them somewhere, and there they are. You know, I mean, nowadays you got a lot of preachers who are afraid to lose their job if they tell people like it is. And then there's a component that some of them are just there because they want to make a lot of money. And there's a lot of money in organized religion, make no mistake. And some of them are there because they're doing the best they can to genuinely help people. But they're in a bad crowd. They're in the wrong crowd a lot of the time, and they end up just parroting what they've been told. And I don't want to talk too much about my plans here till we're there, and then I'll talk about them. But you know, my experience is this with anything. I have never been someone who believed in jumping through pointless hurdles to do anything. I don't believe in all that. All those things are like chains. If you want to talk about God with a Bible in your hand, then go do that. No one's stopping you. Because the people who are handing out certificates that say ordain this and that, they ain't God. And I'm going to tell you another thing since I said that. All right? There's sayings, and there's a little bit more to it than anybody who says them leads on, and those people know better. They do. There's something more to it. Everyone is everything, and everyone is everyone. And God is each and every one, and God is everything. And so because that is it, then everything, including everyone, is God. You're God, I'm God, everybody and everything is God. And if you're a stickler for a pickler, go see the verse Genesis 6:3 if you really need some concrete evidence right at the beginning of the book. That's what you are. That's what you always been. You timeless. You the formless waiting to take form. You've taken many forms before this. You gonna take many forms after this. We all are. The body's not. The body's temporal. But what you are, I can't define it in words. But I can tell you this, what you are ain't the body. For lack of better words and a better idea, you're spirit. Well, all spirit is what? God. Spirit is a lot like, you can think of it mechanically in terms of how electrical energy works. The rules to it are slightly different, but I swear to you, the mechanics are damn near the same. They're slightly different, but they're damn near the same. That's you. Yeah, I mean, look at your hand. Do you really believe that hand is who you are? Do you believe your feet are who you are? There isn't some magic trick that happens when cells form a body that you're produced. That's not how that works. That's not what that is. So what do people mean when they say that? Well, not what they mean. I think we can all gather what that means. But how is that? How is that? How can that be? I'll tell you. Because, or how can you do that? You hear the term, you hear the term step out of the body, step into the spirit. The spirit you're stepping into is God. That's union. Now some people go to the church and they do the communion thing every so often. That's when the community forms union. Well, the community isn't forming union with each other. They're all at the same time forming mass union with God. And as I just said, when you form union with anything that you become, it becomes you. So how do you do this? Well, there's been many different ideas figured out along the way. Throughout the entirety of humans' time walking on this earth, there's been many ways that people have figured out how to do this. And some people got together and organized religion and fought with the other group because our way is right. We hold the patent on God because blah, 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 blah. And it's shut up. You're all right. And I know so because it says so. Humans are the same as they've always been. Nothing new under the sun. And so today I'm watching news stations play countless hours of propaganda to get what they want out of human beings. And I'm inclined to believe it was the same way back then. And furthermore, I see people who are either literally cannot see what is going on here despite it being smacked in their face, or people who would just rather look the other way. But either way, it's the same phenomenon. You got to use that discernment. You got to use that intellect to see through it. Those who want the truth will find it. And those who want to lie, they'll become that. You got anyways, so while there has been many ways that people rather organized or on their own have come to find a way to form union with God. This is what I understand the process to be like. You're on the path of knowing, and the path of knowing will lead you to the door, and you have to use the key of understanding. Be on the path of knowing that will lead you to the door, and you have to use the key of understanding to unlock that door. When that door opens, you have to step through it. And that door takes you to the land of realization, where it becomes real and is made flesh, is made manifest, it's come to the outside, it becomes your existence, your perception, your presence. You know, you understand, and then you'll realize. And, a lot of ways you use the mind to achieve this, but it's not in the mind. This is a tricky move, but this is how I managed to do it. And it's kind of like when you lift your hand up voluntarily and you wiggle your fingers, or you use your body of your choice, and your body isn't just doing one of those involuntary movements it does. If you watch it, you'll realize you're not doing that. Just like some people's mouths run, and you wonder how it can run so long and why it's running. Because it's running on its own. The body is running that mouth all on its own. That person doesn't even ever notice it. And I know this because that's how I am, and one day I realized it. I'm not actually the one talking most of the time. I'm watching the show. So, my experience, right? So you have to know something, all right? And like I said, it's like when you choose to move your hand and you wiggle your fingers and you use your body, you do that of your own, that you've chosen to do that. Fully consciously, but sometimes, like I just said, the body does that. Well, the mind's the same way. You can consciously use the mind. The problem is when the mind comes to life and uses you. All right, and it uses you to further what it wants and what it thinks. And part of the spiritual process is you're having to understand the change perceptions. All right? And part of that is realizing that the mind isn't showing you unpleasant things to piss you off and make you sad and make you vengeful and all those things. It's trying to talk to you, and you need to watch it and understand it. Therein lies overcoming. All right, you need to understand why it's showing you that and why you're mad. And you need to let it voice it out and show it to you and all those things. And then you analyze it a little bit. And then you come to the understanding that it means this, and you realize that that thought will go away. And some thoughts are a lot harder to overcome than others for whatever reason that is. They probably got a lot more attachment, a lot more weight to you, and some part of you really cares about them a lot more. You need to detach from that. If you really want to go far, detach from the whole damn thing, because that really should be the objective. What the target should be is not going to work so you can keep buying debt. It's to go to work so you can have the necessities the body needs to live. I need food, I need water, etc. And the rest of it, and people are going to say, well, that's boring. How can we get it? Because you missed the whole kingdom. The kingdom is here. It's at hand. You're engulfed in it. It's right here with you. It's inside of you. Let me tell you, we're looking out here at a lot of beautiful nature. Come here. Let me show you something. Look at this tree. Look at this pear. It's not miraculous this thing exists. Why on earth? We're in an endless vacuum called space. It's all around us outside of this planet. The entire universe. And the universe, without a machine, without anything, just one day made all of this. That not light something up inside of you? Because if it don't, you gotta get to that point where that's just you full of that. That's fantastic. That's a miracle. And that is how you get to the kingdom. In the modern world, in 2025, when we're surrounded by these damn screens, and we're surrounded by nonstop distractions and things that subjugate us and hold us in bondage with our time in this body, this go around, guess what? It's very hard to get to the kingdom. It's very hard. It's very hard. But the good news is you don't have to sit in despair and say, well, damn, just because I'm surrounded by this stuff, I can't get to the kingdom of heaven. I'm sorry, Jesus. No. if it makes you sin, if it casts you out of the kingdom, you get rid of it. You cut it off from yourself. You set it afire. You get it away from you. You get away from it. Ask yourself the next time you look into this stupid phone, when's the last time it ever filled you up with joy? When's the last time you felt blessed because you could turn on a TV and have some news anchor tell you about the end is nigh? You tell me if it's worth listening to. If the end's coming, you can't stop it. And if the end ain't coming, there was never anything to stop. That's the truth. And it gets even better than the tree. Things we're missing here. Fantastical things. Down here, just think about this. You are surrounded by life. You are surrounded by life in all forms. Life abundant is all around you and within you. It's only waiting on you. It's only waiting on you to know it. And to open that damn door with understanding. And step on through to the other side. Into realization where you make it real. This whole world around you that you dwell in, not the planet that you live on, but the world. It ain't no different than any other world that's ever existed. One minute they yelled, the glory of Rome. The next they yelled, the victory of this, the greatness of that. They don't exist no more. What was so great and what was meant to be forever, because they're not. Worlds are not immortal. Worlds are not forever. But the kingdom is. Because the kingdom isn't subjected and forced to obey by the average rules of a world that depends on resources and the external world to be. Because the kingdom is built on faith and belief. And you got to recognize what keeps you out of it. If you want in it, you got to recognize what keeps you out of it. You got to recognize why you can't get in it. Or you'll never be in it. You'll never get there. If you want to stay there all the days of this life, that's up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But I'm here to tell you this. The folks who stand on the corner and try and hold heaven behind their veil, no matter what form that may take, those people are literally Satan. Because they don't know how to get into the kingdom. Not that they couldn't, but they'll also be damned if you or anyone else gets in it. And you wonder why I'm calling them Satan? I'm not being rude. I'm literally using what the word means. In ancient Hebrew, Satan means adversary, like an obstacle, like a blockage. I meant to clarify that about a good bit earlier in the video. I meant to clarify that, but sorry, brain's kind of twisted up today. And you know, this is about the part where I normally would say, and the world needs a change. The world needs to change. But I'm not gonna. Because none of that stuff matters to me. Every day of my life I stand within the kingdom of God. And it's only when I step out of the kingdom when I have Facebook in front of my face. It's only when I have social media in front of my face. It's only when I have YouTube on in front of my face. It's only when I have these things that I find that I have fallen out of the kingdom. It's those times that my life in this body's time is squandered. It's not my time. When I hold this body hostage so that I can see content, so that I can try and have a better message to tell people, well, I'm sick of it. You want to know what the better message is? It's not mine, but this is the better message. The kingdom is now. The kingdom is here. The kingdom is all around. The kingdom is at hand. The kingdom is within, and it has always been. The kingdom that no hands built. The kingdom that no resources feed. For it is so that man cannot live on bread alone, but man, woman, person, animal, plant, whatever, all must feed on every bit of the Spirit that is God. For man cannot live on bread alone, but on every bit of the Spirit must he feed. I don't have a better message than that. I don't think anybody ever could. You hear those birds singing and tweaking? You feel that wind blow across your skin gently. You feel those vibrations and pulses that radiate all around you, through you and around you. You see that hawk fly through the sky. You see the green, the beauty that is all that is. Blue in the skies as the clouds roll by. And I tell you this, that we are already in heaven. We are already here. And if you can't get it now, you won't get it later. Everything is beautiful. And nowhere that I looked could I not see God. I tell you guys something, if you want to have a revolution, if you want to go do what hairless apes have always done, jump around, stomp around, throw a tantrum at one another, and let the survival energy overtake you and drive you around like cattle, you do whatever you want to do. I won't do it with you, and I'll tell you this, that it doesn't matter what situations are around you, economically, financially, whatever they may be. The answer is to seek the kingdom with all your heart. And you will find it. I wouldn't tell it to you if it wasn't true. And that kingdom, if you haven't gotten the picture yet, if this world around you has beaten you down and abused you and destroyed you, and you feel like you can't stand it, and that you have no way out, and that there is nothing that you can do, if you will cry out to God Almighty, if you will cry out genuinely and in full faith that that something will happen, God will manifest himself in every aspect of your life. God will move every single atom, every single cell, every molecule of this universe and beyond it. And everything in your life will change. But once it changes, it's up to you to balance, because the world is going to flip upside down. Guys, what a beautiful day it is. There is nothing greater than what God has made, and there never will be. And I hope, it is my most sincere hope for you, that everything goes your way. And I hope this, that you are blessed beyond words and beyond thought and comparison. But I also hope that you are cursed. I want you to be blessed. I want you to be cursed. I want you to have a good day. And I hope everything goes your way.